after the last video series I did of making a self bow out of a mulberry stave, a lot of folks emailed me and asked me to do one with an Osage stave. I'm not going to make an entire video from stave to bow because quite frankly it's a lot of work. But I am going to do one to show you how to chase a ring on an Osage, work around knots, and lay the bow out. And then I'll make a video concluding it, showing the finished bow. But this is an Osage stave we're working on, and we'll go ahead, chase a ring on it, talk through that, and then lay the bow out, and that'll finish up this video. This stave is a relatively flat stave. It does have one knot there in the center on the upper third of the stave. I'm going to leave that in, so I'm going to lay the bow out so that the tip of the top knock is near, well, I don't know if it'll be top or bottom yet, but one of the limbs will end at the end of that end of the stave, and it will incorporate that knot into the last portion of that limb. You go down, you see there's another little knot there. It's not going to be a real snaky bow, but we will follow the grain along the back of the bow as we make the bow. And we'll end up with kind of a wavy bow. I'm going to make what we call a Tennessee homegard, which means that the first 2/3 of the limb will be the same width, and then we'll just taper in the last 1/3. But we will, when I say it's the same width, we'll have to work around these knots, so it won't be perfect, and then here it'll be a little bit wider, obviously, as we work around that knot. Okay, right now what I'm trying to decide to do is how many rings to go down before I lay the bow out. You can see around this knot that it's hard to see the grain of the wood here. It's really hard to do it because the polyurethane sealant is still on the bow, and we don't have a good clean, see how rough this is, we don't have a good clean growth ring on the back. Now if you take a look at these growth rings, see how tight they are on this end. You can see that they're really close there, and I'm inclined to go down about 3 on this end. The interesting thing is if you go to the other end, you'll note that the growth rings are much further apart. See how wide they are there? So it looks like to me that second growth ring looks good there. So I may end up going down 3 just because the other end, and having to take a lot of the wood off because of this end. So it's going to come down significantly here if we go 3. I mean, that's a 1/2 inch down to the 1, 2, 3 growth rings right there. If we go to this end and go down 3, you see that it's no more than half that, maybe a 1/4 inch. So because of that, I'm going to work this way first. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to start in the middle. I always start in the middle, just like I spoke of on the last video series. I'll start here with a scrape, go down a growth ring, take the draw knife, take that growth ring out, then I'll go to the other end and reverse it, go down there, take that out. So I'm going to go one at a time, and we'll see how they look. I just work this middle till I see that growth ring coming in. I can see it on the side here already, so I'm going to work the middle more. You've got to be really careful because this Osage, it's got so many dips and dives in it that if you go too deep on the sides, you'll violate the next growth ring without even realizing it because you go a little too fast. I'm already seeing it start to come in here on this edge, so I'm going to keep working to the middle until I see that next growth ring starting to emerge, and then we'll chase it once we find it all the way down with the draw knife. Around this knot down in the bottom, what I'll do there is just go around it, leave it alone. We'll come back with a scrape and do all that work. If you try to do it with a draw knife, you'll violate the next ring pretty quickly. Okay, all I did with the scrape is go to the next growth ring. You can see it right there, the clear delineation between the one below it and the one that I've gone through there with the scrape. So now I'll take a draw knife and all I'll do is work down the end of the end of the bow, and I'll flip around and go the opposite direction with that growth ring. We'll do one at a time.
Oh, it goes faster.
Now with Osage, you got to kind of go slow despite having a ring to work with here, because if you get to one of these knots, it'll dig in if you're not careful. You got to watch your bevel.
Especially watching edges with a straw knife. I mean, you can dig in 1 second to follow it the next growth ring very quickly. No, well, not there, so it's going to take really slow. Those who watch me with a mulberry, you know I've almost been at the end with the mulberry stave already, because you can just run that growth ring out quick. With this Osage, because there's humps and these knots in it, you have to really be careful, or the draw knife will dig right into the next one.
Okay, I've gotten to this knot here. I've got the ring chased down to here, and I've gotten here, and it's hard to get around this without violating it. So what I'm doing is just going back to the scrape, just get around it for now. We'll clean it up later. Right now I just want to make sure we don't dig into the wood. So I'm going to use a scrape. It's easier to get to it on these sides. It's Tennessee hot today. Okay, it's a tiny gap, but I've got a gap there. Separates that ring. So I'll get this draw knife in there. There we go. And it just picks it right up. So that's kind of how you get around those knots. Now, later we'll have to take a scrape. You won't be able to do it all with this. We'll have to get a round scrape in some points, and we'll have to work around it. But we'll just scrape that out, bring it around it, bring it on down. Now, this is the knot that we want to work through. Hopefully that's on the camera there. But anyway, this is the one we want to work through. So we really got to be careful on it.